Bible way, you're gonna be all right. Because you got the glory. Bible way, you're gonna be all right. Just keep the glory. Just keep the glory. Apostle Greg, just keep the glory. Just keep the glory in the house. Oh!
Woo! By the way, keep the glory. Come on, y'all. Y'all know what it is. Go ahead and tag, share, and like. We are back. Night 2. Got another conversation tonight. This one is truly dear to my heart. One of the things that I had the opportunity to do during my time with my IBW family, or my Bible Way family, is at a certain point in my life, I was able to serve in the music ministry. And it was a great time of growth. It was a time of challenge in that, you know, when you're home, you know, you're used to being like the man. You're used to being the woman, like the go-to person, the one people lean on, depend on. And then when you leave from your home, you find out that there are others that can do what you do at the same level or better. But the great part about this was it wasn't a competition as much as it was building relationships so that we all could elevate. And it made the summer convocations even better to know that when I leave convocation, I was coming home with some new songs. I was coming home with some new drumming tricks because of my big bro Scott Rosen, who, you know, we kind of had the same mentor in that of Jeff Davis, but Scott was a little more advanced, so he was able to catch some stuff and tweak and kind of make some of the stuff we learned from Jeff his own. So he had his own sound, being from New York and then going down to Baltimore, cultivating, you know, the gift. And so it was just a great experience for me. And I'm honored tonight because as we prepare for our legacy ball, one of the conversations we're going to talk about tonight is Bible Way's music legacy. Bible Way's music legacy. There have even been conversations that people did not know that we got records out there, y'all. We got records out there with some really good music, or in my terms, some really dope music. There are some songs that you hear on the radio that were written and produced by Bible Way's own. Some of you have no clue. We have Stellar Award winners. We have Grammy nominated writers that have the roots of Bible Way, and we are honored to have them on tonight. All right. And as you are logging in, make sure you let us know where you are logging in from. It's going to be a great conversation, y'all. I'm excited. Luella Smith, thanks for logging in from Baltimore, Maryland. My guy, DT, thanks, bro, for logging in. Bridget Collins, South Carolina, in the house. Oh, Darius Parks, you're going to get somebody in trouble, Doc, but I see you. Darius Parks, one of the rising musicians in Bible Way, plays the organ, keys, and plays the drums. You may see him this convention. Nicole Dale, thanks for logging in. Pastor Greg Crawford, thank you. Chap is in the building, y'all. Jonathan Chappell is in the virtual space tonight. Thanks, bro. Kevin Moses, what's good, fam? Thanks for logging in tonight. Pastor Greg Crawford again. Man, this is going to be absolutely amazing. Daryl Brown, my guy Spud. Spud's not on with me, y'all, tonight, but he's behind the scenes helping us work out. DT, my man DT from Somerville, South Carolina, originally from Patterson. Christian Palmer, Connecticut, and Baltimore or Maryland. Christian, what you representing? Connecticut or Maryland? Gabriel Thompson, what's good, fam? From Inman, South Carolina. Lynetta Dwight, Columbia, South Carolina. Y'all, thank y'all so much. I see the numbers climbing. Thank you for sharing. Great conversation tonight, y'all. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited, y'all. Let me see how I want to introduce these guys, because I mean, like when I say legit celebrities, we got Emmy award-winning musicians. Did y'all know that? One of our special guests tonight is an Emmy award-winning, not nominated, but winning. He has the trophies in his house, or the plaques in his house, as the musical director for one of the biggest McDonald's gospel fests in the country. It happens yearly in New Jersey. He's on with us tonight. Bible Way Brad. I'm telling you, you ought to be proud to be a part of Bible Way. It's a strong lineage. You say you from Bible Way, I'm telling you, it carries weight. Now, just make sure you're representing us well, though. Don't be out here, kind of, making a mockery of us because you come from, you don't realize it, but you don't realize it, and we want you to realize it. That's why we're having this conversation tonight. So, Sam Roberts, that's what I'm talking about. Stellar Award nominating writer, producer, Sam Roberts, our own, currently a part of IBW. So I'm ready to get this conversation started. So I'll start with this brother right here from New York, moved down to Baltimore, went to school, started ministry down there. God has established him there. I kind of followed him a little bit. I told you, these relationships are very influential, right? There's only one place that I'm not following him, though. All right. And so he don't have to worry about that next part. But he's my bro. I used to sit behind him at convention. I used to sit behind him and watch. Y'all remember those days? The musicians couldn't wait to get on, whether they was going to play the offering song. Well, I would sit behind him, and I sat behind him for several years until the opportunity was provided for me to sub and then play. And I'm truly grateful for his life because he is a friend and he is also a big brother. Let's receive Pastor Anthony Scott Roser. My bro.
Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? Glad to be here tonight.
I'm great. Y'all see how special he look? Y'all see how special he look tonight?
Please. And you are going to follow me. And you are going to follow me. That's all I'm put a period there. And you are going to, or a comma, and you are going to follow me there. So,
oh, man, that's my brother. Okay, this next person, man, I mean, when I say influential, again, you have people that you would see at Convocation every summer. And, when they walked in the room, when they presented songs, you just saw the magic happening. We might call it the anointing. You might call it, talents and gifts, but I'm calling it magic because his songs are being sung around the world. I got to show him a video of a whole nother dance that was given to his song recently at the most recent McDonald's Gospel Fest. You might know him. I will bless the Lord. Bless the Lord at all times. Now, I know a couple of versions of that song, right? I know a couple of versions of that song, and we might have to bring them back because I think there is something in understanding how song placements work, and you writing something today, but it not really picking up until 10 or 15 years later. I mean, it's just an amazing story, but I'm glad because he's a Bible Way brother, and I'm glad to have him on tonight, and that is none other than Minister Isaiah. We call him Donnell Thomas. Bro.
Hey. Blessings.
How you doing tonight, man?
Man, it's an honor and privilege to be talking to you brothers tonight.
Oh, this is good. So, y'all, if we slip up and call each other by first names, it is no disrespect. we real fan, right? Yeah. So this next person, truly special. When I first got into youth ministry, especially on the district level, she really made me look like I knew what I was doing. She would come, she would preach for us. And I mean, services would be bananas, right? It would just be bananas. And then, she would coach me through different things. But then, as we were transitioning out of devotion with the deacons on the national setting and transitioning into praise and worship, she became the first. She became the first, not just the first woman, but the first praise and worship leader for International Bible Way, setting the template for what it is to, as they say, set the atmosphere. When you walked in the room, you would hear a couple of voices. You would hear Bill Lloyd. You will hear Catherine Street. But then you heard
Bill Lloyd. Wow.
Bill Lloyd, my man.
Wow.
You heard this other voice.
Yeah.
And that is none other than Pastor D. Gross.
Woo!
Hey, my loves. God bless you. Thank you.
The
It is
Yes,
an
queen.
honor.
The
It
queen.
is an honor.
yes, we glad to have you. Listen, I got one more that came in, and this guy again, he probably has the most influence on my music, my short-lived music career. But he is the one that helped set the culture of our ministry here in Patterson under the leadership of the late Aaron Jones and the late Apostle Franklin Pettiford. He was able to help cultivate the sound. He is the first person that I knew had perfect pitch, can literally walk in church, no matter what key you were in, would turn the organ on, and when the sound came out, he was playing the song, not do 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 do
Yeah.
do. Y'all remember that back in the day? Do 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 do, trying to find the note. He would already be in rhythm, leading the song from the organ, and he is the one that is the Emmy Award winning writer, Emmy Award musical director and producer of the McDonald's Gospel Fest, and that is none other than Elder Terrence Kitchens.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
What a time we gonna have tonight,
Whatever.
y'all. And we got a couple of other special guests. I mean, again, we're just excited. IBW, I see the numbers going up. Let's keep sharing. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about where we've come from, the impact that it's had on our lives personally, where we are today. But the contribution of the people that I have on tonight is what made Convocation just a great experience. One of the things that made Convocation a great experience. So I just want to open it up for our guests. Pastor, we're gonna go with Pastor D. Gross. Sis, we want you to open up. Tell us a little bit, what you're doing now, and then what years you served in the music ministry, how you got started with Bible Ways Music Ministry.
Well, I've gotten started. Basically, it wasn't my mother. She was the president of the Women's Council. And that started at 12 noon. I would sing from her. And after Apostle Smallwoody Williams passed away and Apostle Campbell moved in, Mother Campbell was the one who told Apostle Campbell that you need to let D go on in and open up all the services. So I started back then with my mother when I got out of college in 87. And then I started nationally in 1991, 92.
Wow, that's good.
Every started at 9 o'clock service, 12 o'clock service. Then they had like a 4 o'clock. Then we would come back at 7:30. And
Yeah,
I was in all of those services. But
yeah.
the greatest thing about it was I did not get one dime. And it pays off. Jesus will pay you if you faithful. If you are faithful,
We talking early.
he will reward you. He will reward your faithfulness. Yes, he will. And that's how I got started, by being faithful.
Y'all, I just want to say there are also preachers. So there may be some moments. This may get tricky tonight. All right, we're all seasoned, so we can navigate. We all seasoned, we can navigate, because I felt the faithful. I felt when she said it, I felt it, because I think we've all been a part of that culture where we did service for the ministry, and we were not compensated with money, and we did it with honor, we did it with excellence, and we gave 110%.
Yeah.
We gave 110%. And so let's go to Elder Terrence Kitchens.
Yes,
Bless
sir.
you, man of God.
Bless you, sir. Bless everyone. All my friends up there. I see everybody.
Yes.
Pastor Gross, I literally was just in your neighborhood about 2 weeks ago. You remember our conversation that we have some folks that our paths cross. So
Yes.
I was down in your neck of the woods a few weeks ago.
I believe Terrence is my husband's cousin.
Yes.
So
Wow.
we cousins.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
there's a whole nother story that goes along with that. We'll come back to IBW. We'll talk about that another
Amen.
time. But we know D and I have literally known each other. I think it's safe to say pretty much all of our lives. That's not an exaggeration.
Yes.
But this particular connection was something that we just kind of stumbled into because of some other revelations. Excuse me. But it's all good. It's all good. I love what you said about the fact that there was no money involved for us. We did it for the love of what we did. I'm not saying this with pride, but in my earliest days, I quit jobs so I could make convention. There was a couple of jobs I said, I need to go. They said, well, you can't go. I'm like, well, then I'm going and I just ain't coming back. But I went to the convention. But I made the convention, and we always had a good hallelujah time. And again, there was a brotherhood and a camaraderie that we had that just, I hate to sound like the old guy in the room, but there was a day when everything was really more about the love of ministry as opposed to necessarily looking at what I was getting, how somebody was compensating or giving back to me. We just did it because we love Jesus.
Yeah, that's good. When did you start playing on the national level? Like what age?
Okay.
What year?
I'm gonna tell this story, and I'm thankful. I don't think there's anybody on here that would remember the circumstances, but this was maybe 1980 or 79, somewhere there around. Convention was in Richmond, Virginia, this particular year, and those who know, and I know we're going to touch on this in a moment. At that time, Elder Michael Rogers was the National Minister of Music for Bible Way. And we did a song. This is before recordings and all that stuff. This is way before that. We did a song, and I can't even remember what the name of the song was now. And Mike, at the last second, asked me if I would play it. And so I said, no problem. I got up there, and I went to play it. Now, for the organists in the room, if you remember back in the day, Hammonds had these reverbs that were attached to them. And the way this reverb was, it was some kind of mechanism that was inside. If you hit the body of the organ by mistake, it would just make this crazy noise. Zay, you know what I'm talking about. So here I am coming to get on the organ, just happy to just love Jesus. And I got there, and my knee hit the side of that organ, and it let out this noise. And I said, oh my God. Jesus, what are you doing to me? So finally we get past that. Song's over. So I'm like, okay, let me hurry up and get off. I get off, my knee hits it again.
Oh no.
Suffice it to say, it was not one of my highlights. But it was the first time. And the good news is I didn't let that discourage me.
Yeah.
I kept coming back, and and to God be the glory, we were used greatly of God. But the first time I really can say I played nationally, officially, was in 1982 in Washington, D.C. at 1100 New Jersey Avenue. It was spanking brand new. As a matter of fact, the year we had convention, the building had not been open a year yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
The building opened up in October of 81. And the reason I recall that because, Jason, you were very young, but Bible Way Patterson was one of the churches that was invited to be a part of that celebratory, series of openings and stuff like that. So that's why I remember that. And then in 82, we had our first convocation there. And it was something because up until that point, it had been a while since we had been able to hold a convocation in one of our churches. To the glory of God, because we had grown to that point where we had to go to the ballrooms and to the, those types of spaces. So going into the temple was new ground for some of us because we hadn't seen a convention in a church in a long time. I remember as a kid, my mother would take me, but like I said, that was a long time ago. So that was the year that we recorded the first album. Yes, Jason was right. There's 4 recorded albums, but 3 that were released. The 4th one never got released.
Yeah, we tapping into that a little bit. Yeah, we're gonna get into that because those are the things that we don't know and that I think we should know.
Yeah.
All right.
So that was the first one that I played for. I actually played on that album for the first album.
Wow, that's good.
Wow,
Our next guest, again, you know his songs. They're being played around the world. Now, one of my favorite songs would probably be "God Said He'll Be With Me."
That's Bible Way.
And see that, and
That's Radio Choir.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
There
Yes,
you
sir.
go.
Radio
Yes,
Choir.
sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. And I mean, I don't know if you wrote this, but I know he definitely produced it. The Donald Malloy joint. When I was in trouble,
Yeah,
I
I
was
wrote that. Yeah.
You wrote that?
Yeah.
I know what prayer.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I know. Ooh, man, that's a whole thing right there, ladies and gentlemen. Minister Isaiah Thomas, bro, what's good, man? Like,
Hey,
man, how long has it been? When did you start playing on the national? How did you get introduced?
Well, I got to stop you there. I never had the opportunity to play for the national choir. That was way out of my league. In fact,
No, it wasn't out of your league. We wasn't big enough for you. That's the problem. We wasn't big enough for you.
no, I never.
He said, "I need a bigger stage."
I can't say that I ever had that opportunity, but I will say I was very, very, very blessed to play with the 1016 National Choir. That was my
Yes, sir.
That was my thing. That was my era.
10-16.
Thank God for Patrick Brown here online. We're gonna talk about Patrick, but he's the reason why I was even in music. Before Patrick Brown, I thought I was gonna be a drummer. And literally, it was Patrick who started me playing keyboards and teaching me how to learn a song, teaching me basic 3-part harmony. That's because of Patrick Brown.
Wow, that's good. That's good.
I wish I used to dream about playing with the National Choir.
I think we all did, Zay. I think Scott and Terrence might be the only two up here.
Yeah, I know. I used to watch Terrence. Like I used to watch him from afar, but no,
I
I never
apologize
got
for every
near
mistake.
playing.
Please forgive me.
Oh nah, you know what, bro? I think I might have had one time. Jimmy Rosen was directing. I think Scott went. I was gonna say Scott went to the bathroom or something, but I might have one appearance. I might. But Scott, man, when did you get started? How did you get started? Who was the connect? How did that happen?
Oh man, I'll try to remember. Let me see. I think I got it started. I was around 16. I want to say the late 80s, maybe like 89, 90. And then I think I may have played up until a little before I got married, 96, 97, something like that. Somewhere in that area. I don't remember, but I know, of course, my connection, I started playing at Bishop Fountain's church in Connecticut. That's where I started playing. And then somehow or another, I hooked up with Patrick. And then Patrick kind of put me down. And then the rest was history. I was playing for 1016, and then from there I just went on to keep playing. So yeah, I'm a Bible Way baby, man.
Man, that's good. Patrick,
Hey, Patrick Brown, the Patrick.
Patrick Brown.
One and only.
What you
Patrick
said?
G. Brown.
What you said?
What
did you ask me?
The Patrick.
Oh, when did you get started? How did you get started? You're obviously responsible for a few getting started. So how did you get put on?
I got carried into Bible Way musically by Byron Showell. Byron was the one that brought me to conventions, and I started playing with them. I think the first time, my first Bible Way experience was going to New York to Peekskill for that recording, and we never made it because the car broke down. But after that, I remember going to Winston-Salem, 86.
Yeah, wow, I remember that.
Started going there. That's when Marvin Winans and Vicki Winans were there, and she sang and stuff. That's how I got to start that whole connection. Then in 88, I was actually kind of instrumental in the music part because I was made the youth something, the Maryland something, because convention was in Baltimore. So because in 86 I ended up watching Skeet and I watched Marvin and Vicky's kids that time, because they went to go out, and I just had all the young people with me because young people is my thing. So that's how I got to know them. And in '88, I invited Skeeter to come.
Right.
All right, stop.
Yeah.
For those that don't know Skeeter is I don't wanna know.
Yeah.
Baby, let's just keep it on. Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Oh, Skeeter's also I Pray than CC Winans. That's Skeeter.
Hey, you know what? That was a better example. Mine was
Thank you for bringing us to the gospel side of this conversation.
Thank you, Pastor. Thomas.
God bless you
Yeah.
Okay,
So
back
in
ahead.
88, our thought was to start having young, because RYP was real big. That's what I was a part of. Let's bring the kids of famous artists to convention. So that's why I asked Vicky if Skeeter come to be our guest. And Skeeter came, Vicky came because that was her mother, and Marvin Winans Jr. Coconut came too. So
Right.
that's how I started. And from there, and that's where Vicky ended up singing "We Shall Behold Them." She sang it at Bible Way before it even came out. The album came out that fall, and she sang it with us first. It was like a big thing because I remember being in the car. Skeeter let me hear his mother's CD. Oh, sorry, his mother cassette tape. Sorry, it wasn't a CD. Cassette. But that's how the old Bible Way with different guest artists coming in, year after year. We started way back there, '88. But that was my first introduction through Byron Showell, working with the youth choir and Byron and Dale Talbot. That's how I got in, and then I ended up playing more and more. And yeah, when Scott came to Baltimore. I don't know, were you going to school? That's why you came to Baltimore?
Yeah.
When Scott came to Baltimore, came the first app, and we had a set band. We had a great band, solid band. Scott, I'll tell the story all the time. Scott came and played the drums. I was like, oh, you could do that with the drums? The drums can do that? Wow. So
Scott Robinson was the man.
Amazing.
Oh, man.
So he started coming more money. I was like, yeah, come to convention and just, like you said, put them on. I really believe in giving opportunities. I remember Corey Baker used to fuss at me every year because back in the 80s, late 80s and early 90s, there were drummers lined up.
Yeah.
Then they play the song, next one get on, next play the song, next one get on. It was just lined up, and I was just giving everybody opportunity. That's how that not necessarily discovered them, but that's how I knew that Isaiah could play. That's how we knew Corey Henry came through convention one time and played. That's how I found him. That's how I found BG, Glenn Gibson. All of them came through Bible Way and was just giving them opportunities to play. And that's where brand started.
Wow. Let's jump into this. Let's jump into this record part because I think that one is really iconic and something that we can say like that actually happened during our time. Before we go to the national album, I want to go down to DC. I want to talk to Isaiah and I want to talk to Pastor D Gross about that record. Like, it was really good. I remember that. Sis, what role did you play with that album, and what was that experience like doing something like that as a Dicey's? Because Dicey's wasn't doing that. Exactly. You know what I mean? It was either a church or the national body, but y'all did it as a Dicey's.
It was a dream come true. It was something that I wanted to do. And of course, Donnell was always my number one go-to musician and writer. So I think back then we had like 40 churches in our diocese. Wow. And we would have rehearsals like every other Saturday. And they would come out to rehearsal. And we would do like at least 3 hours. And Donnell would go back and write. Him and the other guy, Isaiah.
Victor Johnson.
Wow. Victor Johnson. Yes.
Yeah. Another artist.
He wrote, but when I tell you somebody who was very patient with me, and that was Isaiah. He was very patient because every song he wrote to me was absolutely phenomenal by God.
Yeah.
It was just anointed that the people needed to hear that, as they would say, at such a time as this back then. Donnell has been just a humble lamb all the way through.
That's right.
Everything was like, D, don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay. What you don't like, what do like, he was just a great instrument because I couldn't do it by myself. So I admire Victor Johnson and what he contributed because I knew him through
Yeah.
Isaiah,
Gotcha.
but I thank God that it was just when they came together, when friends will do you favors for nothing. When you friends, so the artist that came, oh Hezekiah came for like a thank you.
Wow.
It wasn't, and we're friends today.
Yeah,
Murphy came,
that's
um, McDaniel, he came, and he was just, hey, I'll just do it. Of course, Roderick Allen, he came. So I just went on a what I would call a relationship pad. So if they would call me today, 30, 40 years later, I'm like, hey, you did it for me back then. What can I offer for you to you right now? But I couldn't do it without Isaiah.
Yeah.
I couldn't do
Can I
I
can I can I
couldn't
can I
do it
say
with
something?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I don't even know if Pastor realizes this, but one of the most phenomenal things that happened that night was Pastor D. Gross was singing a song called "I'll Let Nothing Separate Me from the Love of Christ."
Mm.
And all the rehearsals, she completely killed the song. Every time she did it, we would go in. But this particular night of the recording, Apostle Michael Rogers was the MC. So after Dee Dee completely destroyed the song, no disrespect, that's Pastor Grove, but after she completely destroyed the song, Apostle Michael Rogers picked the song up again. And I really,
yes, he
that
did.
was something that I was like, wow. And when I look back at it now, I was like, that was really Bible Way history right there. Because at that time, Apostle Michael Rogers had kind of transitioned from the music genius we know him from to the bishop and the preacher. So to see him to go back into that mold, it took my mind back to all of those records that I grew up listening to from Michael Rogers. When I want to see Jesus and Magnify, that Michael Rogers came back for that one night only, and did
He was my
and combined with the Didi Gross, it was history in the making. I never seen nothing like that before. Even
he
to
was
this
our
day, I
youth
get
president.
chills.
Say that again.
He was our youth president. He was our youth. Michael was our apostle, was our youth president then. And he came. He was like, whatever, he came and he killed it. We could have had an altar call right after that.
Oh my God. It was like it was all the things that I had grew up listening to, I saw with my own eyes that night.
Yeah.
He's real. Oh yes, I
Mhm.
know he's real. And dun 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 dun. I won't forget. Da, 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 da. I saw that Michael Rogers that night. I had never experienced that Michael Rogers.
Right,
I
right.
saw it that night with Didi Gross,
The legend. Man,
the
that
legend.
that's really amazing. That's really amazing because was that the album We Bring the
Yes.
Sacrifice of
That's the
Praise
first time
into
Sacrifice
the
of Praise
house
that
of
I've
the
been recorded.
Lord?
So many records. Saved that Earl Machete and New Mom does. We did it
Yeah.
with Didi Grow first.
Yes.
So it all started. All those records started on that album.
I should have brought my cassette.
Oh man,
Listen, we gotta find
I
a way.
need that. Yeah,
No,
I
we,
need that.
we need that. Like
Yeah.
seriously, like sis, convention
Mhm.
is in a few weeks. We
I'm
need
telling
that.
you.
We need
I had I had a gentleman for my 50th birthday a long time ago. He shifted from the CD to the, what is it called? The tape to a CD for me for my 50th birthday.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Transferred it over so I could put it in my car now.
yeah.
Because I don't have
Spud,
I would
Spud
like to.
said
I would
Spud
like to
said don't
read.
forget about Apostles' Prayer.
Absolutely. That was major. Let me tell you, Apostle Joe Nathan Brown, he had to make sure that prayer was right. He didn't play about that prayer. I remember him in the studio saying,
My goodness.
when you get a minute, I want you to look at that prayer. I want to make sure that prayer is where to be. And I'm telling you something. I really would like to remix and remaster that album and transfer it to CD and make it so people can download it. That's
Digital,
how
yeah.
powerful that record was.
I would definitely rock it. I would definitely,
No doubt.
we need to sing some of them songs like that. I would love to hear some of our current musicians rock some of those joints.
Oh
Like,
man. And the way Pastor Bishop Hezekiah Walker came in and led Saved, really, all of the lead singers on that album, they brought the music to life.
yeah,
Even Bishop Eric McDaniels, Roderick Allen, all of them guys, they brought the music to life, man. It was a historical event. It really was.
that's amazing. That's amazing. So let's go ahead and let's transition to this national album, man. And again, I'm excited because again, so much rich history. It's interesting again because the Diceys, I want to let y'all know the Diceys, they did not do what the Washington, Maryland Diceys did. Like that just wasn't. And so, hearing Roger Allen, hearing the voices that they mentioned at home, I had to tape. Like I remember it, so for me, before she was my big sis, she was like celebrity D Gross. Like
Absolutely.
she was celebrity D Gross. That
The queen.
Isaiah Thomas, we affectionately called him Donnell. Like Patrick mentioned some other people that were a part. Byron Showell, he was icon. Like when I was coming up, Byron Showell was directing with a big
Dale
rope, a gold rope.
Yeah. Me too.
I could be, like, he made directing cool. Like I think I wanted to direct because of Byron. Like, this 6'7" guy up there.
Yeah.
He made it cool, right? But man, transitioning to this national album, and this is, we talked about Apostle Michael Rogers, others that contributed. Hopefully we can get another brother up here tonight who's scheduled to be on with us to just add to the conversation. So
Yes,
we all can chime in on this one, and we'll start with Elder Kitchens, right? Because he's the seasoned brother on the call tonight. Seasoned.
Otherwise,
I'm very intentional with my
not old. You getting better, not old.
You mentioned the first recording.
Yes, sir.
And where was the first recording?
We recorded at 1100 New Jersey Avenue, Washington, D.C. Saturday night. The recording was supposed to have taken place as the evening service. And understanding the logistics of recording and the technology of the era, of course, there were some issues, there were some problems, there was some this, there was some that, and the other. So the recording that was supposed to be the night service didn't start until midnight.
Yep. Yeah.
It didn't start till midnight.
That's
what songs were on that album?
I'm glad you asked.
I want to see Jesus.
Is that
We
want to see
magnify the Lord.
Oh, he came ready.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you got to share that, Doc.
Yeah, I got them all. Well, I got the three.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So,
and you could hear him like literally just tuning up. It was like, okay, there was no edits. It was like,
Right.
and then 40 seconds later, we start the song.
Started a classic.
yeah.
That's a classic. Wow.
We got to share that, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be a blessing. You got to be a blessing to the body of Christ.
Mietta old enough to remember that? Good grief.
Mietta said that she was on the second row.
Yes.
Wow.
We were there. We were there. And again, the night went through and everything like that. And for a lot of us, listen, literally, the night we recorded this, I was 19 years old.
Wow.
First time really being involved in a real recording. Knew nothing except they said go sit down and play. So I went with, that's all they said. Go sit down and play. So I did.
Do you remember the band? Do you remember the band on that?
Okay, so I was on the piano, even though this is not me actually playing. This is Michael. He went in and overdubbed a lot of the piano. But for the session I played the night, now Bishop Jeffrey White.
Jeffrey White, yeah.
He is the organist, not the bass player.
Oh, wow.
Jeffrey White is the organist.
Wow.
The drums was Bobby Walker.
Bobby Walker. Woo!
And the bass was a gentleman that was a part of Brooklyn at the time, Mike Fisher.
Mike Fisher.
Yeah.
Mike Fisher, yo.
Woo!
Yes.
That was the band.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah, you can imagine. And Mike is playing the. Everybody may not be an instrument fanatic like I am, but in the temple they had this 9-foot Steinway grand. Ain't nobody in Bible Way Church. No Bible Way Church had a piano like this.
Yeah.
Nobody.
It's still there. Still there.
Nobody. Hear me. Nobody had a piano like this. And to sit down at that thing and play that thing, my God, it was just. And the interesting thing about this, when you listen to this, here's what was different about singers in 1982. I just want you to listen to the voices. Now I'm saying that because I want you to listen. I want you to understand. There are no vocal overdubs. That's the choir that sang that night. Period. If you remember, it's a little different now because I think they took some of the space for the drums. But if you remember that choir stand could probably hold 100, 125. I think that's a fair number. Isaiah, you think that's a fair number?
At the mother church.
At the mother church.
I lost y'all. Say it again.
I said I think that choir stand could probably hold about 125, maybe give or take.
Yeah.
Plus we added 2 rows of people.
Wow.
So easily we had 150 to 175 people up there singing.
Oh, yeah, easy. Yep.
And it was just
That
it was,
was
I mean, they were down the steps. They were down the steps singing. They were all over the place. So it was major. But here was the thing. The most exciting part about it was around that time in the New York area, we had just gotten a 24-hour gospel station. We hadn't had one forever. And the idea that, it's one thing to say you had a record, but when you heard your record played on the radio, you've arrived. Mm-hmm. And the New York station played this song on the radio, and I was like, okay, we arrived. It was, y'all remember that movie,
Five Heartbeats.
Remember how he was like, Duck, stop singing, stop singing. I'm not singing this. That's how it was. It was like everybody that was listening to it, we were all, no cell phones, no texts, none of that. We were calling each other over the phone. Yeah, on the radio. It was wild.
Wow.
It was just a phenomenal thing.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
So Scott, what's your memory of a By the Way album?
Oh God. I guess my memory of a By the Way album that I was actually at the recording is one I played on, which was in Richmond. And
what was the popular song? What was the popular song from that album?
Well, that's the album that was unreleased, that never came out.
Exactly.
So there were so many songs on that album that were amazing. Overcoming Power, Joy Like a River, Saved, like that. The one my brother arranged, and I had the pleasure of playing a song called "Just Turn to Jesus," written by the one and only Sherry McClam Brown.
Wow!
I ever played on the album, and I also played the song "I'll Give You Jesus" by John Key. He had written that and sung it that night. So that's the album I remember very vividly. I remember that night like it was yesterday. I was sitting there listening and watching, the older guys come up, Jeff Davis and all of them. They was there and they did their thing, and then they let me get on. Man, it was amazing. That night was crazy. That night was crazy.
That's my memory too, because that's the first album I played on, and I played that Key song,
Yes.
I remember my biggest, because I was playing and I did some little glitch, like, and I hit a little chord. Your brother, Jimmy Russell, was behind me. You play, boy. You play. I was supposed to. He gave me a shout out. I was like,
You couldn't get your head through the door that night, right? It was like, man, you've arrived. We have arrived.
Wow, that's really, really amazing, man. The Rich Album. So Kitchens, you mentioned, and ladies and gentlemen, we have the David Frazier on the line.
The one and only.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about him in a moment. We're gonna give him some space in a moment, y'all.
Overcoming power.
I mean, David Frazier, y'all. I mean, how much we can. I mean,
the list goes on and on.
I mean, it just he has a song in the hymn book. He has a song in the hymn book, y'all.
David, he's the hit maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the hit maker.
Oh
you
man,
all are too kind. You all are too kind.
But we're factual though, sir. Doc. We ain't lying on you. We telling the truth.
David is the hit maker.
Oh man, but he's gonna have a moment, and he's gonna speak in just a moment. And
I forgot.
You know, again, for those
when we were talking about the original, I did forget one name. Please forgive me. The anthem. One thing about his eye to the Lord.
Song 26.
The great, but unfortunately, sadly, the late Benji Love.
Yeah.
Benji was.
Wait. We gonna talk about Benji in a second. No.
I just want to tell you how old he was when we did that album.
Oh, okay.
Benji had to be about 13 or 14.
Wow.
Yeah. 13.
Somewhere thereabouts, because I know about how many years we are apart. So, like I said, if I was 19, Benji had to be everything of like 13 or 14, because we're like 5 or 6 years apart, something.
Yeah, we gonna talk about Benji Love in just a moment. We mentioned that before we came on, and I definitely want to hear everybody's story. I need to hear a Benji Love story, because again, a lot of people know Apostle Michael Rogers, the icon, the bishop, but that Benji Love, like every leader has that other guy that helps him or helps the situation or helps the team, and Benji Love was definitely that, and we're gonna pay a little homage to Benji shortly. But Pat, you talked about being on that album as well. You are currently our minister of music for International Bible Way, and we honor you just for having that role, and even on this conversation tonight, being on and helping us to facilitate. What was one of your memories, like just brightest or most impacting memory when it comes to music ministry, even outside the recordings, or it can be one of the recordings?
Well, that one, when Jimmy gave me a shout out while I was playing, that was really big for me. I also remember another one was rehearse. Okay. Terrence talked about how the choirs were like 150, whatever. That was just regular, normal convention choirs.
Exactly.
That 1016 choir was like 250, 300.
No problem.
Just regular. And I remember Alabama. We had some service, and that turned into a deliverance service, and we had so many people getting the Holy Ghost. And we had to go to the other side of the world to go sing. And kids were coming through the hotel lobby, speaking in tongues for real. And we had just a horde of people going, here we go, up escalator, walk, and they go down the escalator again to get to where the service was. And that was a major, major thing for me, because I was like, these kids are actually really saved. They're trying to get saved. People came to convention to get the Holy Ghost.
Absolutely.
They came to convention to get the Holy Ghost. And
I came to get it, but I didn't get it.
Yeah. I always got a girlfriend though. I had a girlfriend.
I got a girlfriend. I ain't get the Holy Ghost.
I had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Do you have it now, son? That's the question. Do you have it?
Yeah.
How do you feel since you came out of the room?
that was a major impact for me.
I got it now, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, praise God.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good now. Thank God.
We had to make sure good.
That
That was a major memory of just the young people who are really on fire for the Lord and really seeking the Holy Ghost and enjoying singing and loving singing. And that's where they're still coming. They still coming because we were still coming. It was just kid after kid trying to get up there to sing. And that was beautiful.
That was good.
Then the lady put me out the altar call room, but that was a whole nother thing.
Yo, you definitely got
Hey,
kicked out.
Patrick, is that the year
Cornell.
Willie James Campbell
Oh.
preached?
No, now Willie James Campbell was the year you went crazy and the lights went off.
Yes.
The lights. Okay, that's
That
what
was
it is.
The
Indianapolis.
lights went off
Okay.
and the lights came back on. Scott was
yeah.
gone, y'all. I don't know if he thought the rapture was coming. I don't know what. Scott was gone. Matter of fact, I don't even know if somebody was still playing the organ. I just know the whole place was in shambles.
Man.
That was 1996.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was-
That was 1996. Man, that was
That was Indianapolis, Indiana. I remember.
Mhm.
yeah, that was good. That was the year the Dream Team 2 was in the same hotel.
Mhm.
And they were trying to get us out of the room. So,
Yeah,
but
they wanted to set the room up for whatever for the next day.
Natasha Grant said everybody got refilled. ain't nothing like a little apostolic scare, like just scare.
Yeah.
But Pastor Gross, what was one of your memorable moments?
Just the talents of everyone coming together and adding a verse. One thing about Michael and I want to say Jimmy and David, each one of them could write a verse to one song and it would be a blast. I mean, at a drop of a hat, they could somebody could start it off. That was just so awesome. And rehearsals was, I don't know if Patrick do 3 hour rehearsals now, but back then it was 3 hours all. It was 3 hours, and if we were,
I gotta say, I was amazed at how you guys have rehearsals because they would teach a long phrase and then sopranos go and they would get it. Just like we got to teach little chunk by little chunk by little chunk. Our minds these days are just amazingly slow. But back then, they could teach whole phrases, okay, and they be done.
yeah.
Also, shout out to Kelvin Sutton. He's also another one. who's
What's it all
amazing.
for? Yeah.
What's it all for?
And God is my refuge.
That was my
good too.
refuge. Yeah. That's the recording. I was there for that.
Yeah,
That was in Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yep, Baltimore. Yep.
At first half.
I was actually hurt because when Minister Terrence was talking about Bible Way and the recording in D.C., I remember because I tried to beg my dad to let me stay, and he wouldn't let me stay. So I never experienced D.C. My first live recording was What's It All For?
that was me with Richmond. Like the day of the recording, my dad is like, "Oh, we're leaving for the family reunion." So it's like I'm sitting through rehearsals, you know what I mean, and then it's like I don't even get to see the finished product. You know what I'm saying?
I was so crushed at Bible Way when he said we got to leave. I was like, "What? You're joking, right?"
I want to go back.
I had a reunion for a couple years because of that.
Yeah. I do want to go back to something Patrick said, even about like rehearsing and how, and I think you said it too, Jason. You know, we coming to national conventions and national meetings, it really changed you and almost shifted you from being like whatever instrument you played. It introduced you to musicianship because you had to learn how to play with other people, learn how to play with artists, and learn the artistry and the creativity that most wouldn't get at home, and the fact that you would have to learn these songs in one day, like all the breaks and the cuts and everything. You'd have to learn several songs for one. You know, in a week you had 10 songs. You know, and we did it. We did it. The vocals and music.
Can I add to Pastor?
Yeah.
Now let me tell you what my experience was. I was fine until Benjamin walked in the room or David Frazier walked in the room. If any one of them decided to pop up, then nobody had to tell you anything. You just got up. Nobody had to send you a note. Nobody had to. But it was that musicianship respect that I think we have lost that today. where when your seniors come in, your mentors come in, the people that have impacted you the most. I remember seeing David Frazier, and I know he don't remember this, but David Frazier is the reason why I play behind preachers, because one Bible Way anniversary in October, David came with Bishop Huey Rogers. And I never heard an organist play for a preacher the way David Frazier backed up Huey L. Rogers. From that moment on, I tried to do everything that David does, even to this day. There's some things I do now that literally I heard David do when he was playing for Bishop Huey L. Rogers. And all I'm saying is, when they came in the room, like David could just walk in and sit down, like be chilling. He could be on his phone. We got up. It was nothing to talk about. We just get up. When Benji came in the room, that's the type of respect we showed the people that got us to where we are today. And that type of thing, you don't really see that happen today, because everyone is trying to be the best. Everybody's trying to compete. Everybody's trying to outdo everybody. When I was coming up, it wasn't that type of vibe. It was a more respect thing. David Frazier, Benjamin Love, Jimmy Rawson, them guys. When they came in, man, even Bishop Darrell Brown. I didn't like to play around Bishop Darrell Brown, and I used to play for him. But he could wear an organ out. So those guys, we would just show that type of respect. You don't see that today.
Yeah.
To tag on what you were saying, like you said, there was no preparation. We walked to the convention on a Monday. We started rehearsing, and on Saturday we did a recording.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was nobody sent out any tapes or any kind of musicians for the most part. David can back me up on this. For the most part, any of those selections and those kind of decisions, they were made on site as the week progressed. And at the end of the week, we did what we did.
Wow,
that was that.
Amazing.
I guess I'll jump in here. This is a good spot to jump in. First of all, thank you all for letting me know this was going on. I had a rehearsal. I live in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's storming here. And I was trying to get stable so I could be a part of this. And all of y'all that's on this live, and I'll just say, especially Pastor D. Brown. She know I love her. But I love you all. And I'll say that any kind of success or any kind of musical achievements, I gotta point back to Michael Rogers, Alan Cruz, those guys. I thought at one time that I could write a song, and I played it for Michael, my very first song that I wrote. And you all know the song because I ended up recording it with the National Choir. All Things Work Together for the Good.
Wow.
It was my first song I had recorded, but I showed Apostle Michael Rogers the song 2 years earlier. And I was playing the piano, played through the whole song and everything. He said, that sounds good. Just work on it some more. Work on it. Let me hear it in a little while. I was like, this is all I got. This is all I got. But, So a year later, after coming off of the piano at Bible Way and then going to the organ, which, I guess gets into like more of a biography. Let me just tell this story. Let me go here. I was playing the piano at Bible Way, and my good friend Bishop James Rawson was playing. Came to my house, and he played on my piano an old institutional radio choir song called "Newborn Soul." And that thing infuriated me. how you gonna come to my house and play something that I couldn't play on my own doggone piano? That infuriated me. So I told him that I was going to learn every song that Institutional or anybody ever made. You're never gonna come to my house and outplay me. So
That's fun.
I had been playing the piano at the temple, and I remember it like it was yesterday. One Sunday morning, packed church. I'm playing the piano. Bishop Mike is on the organ. Mike. I think Jeffrey White was on the bass. I think Bobby Walker might have been on the drums. The radio choir was singing. Bishop Mike said this to me. Come. I said, me? Come,
Mm.
come. So I get off the piano. I come all the way around the back of the choir stand. I get on the organ. He says, put your left hand up here on the top, play your bass up here, put your right hand down here. I'll show you the pedals later. And that's how I started playing the organ.
Wow.
Back,
Wow.
I think about 17 or so, because I had never touched the organ before. And then
Mm.
eventually, I really just, I really just did everything Michael Rogers did. It was, from a tone, texture, setups, just what he played while people were talking, just anything. I could, I could do a Michael Rogers impression, and I think that's what I did. In my early teens, going forward into my mid teens, I mean mid 20s and stuff. I just did everything Michael Rogers did. If he played it, I just listened and I just did it. Eventually, I started. I did the same thing with Alan Cruz, and then Alan Cruz was a Andre Crouch. No, I'm sorry. Alan Cruz was a Hawkins guy, whereas Michael Rogers was an Andre Crouch guy. So listening to those records and stuff kind of helped me, develop and then of course Michael being there. And then when Michael was gone, I was it. So playing for Bishop Huey Rogers, traveling with Bishop Huey Rogers, I just did it how Michael did it.
Dave,
And
I have a question for you, sir. Were
yeah.
you at the temple when the Schofields were still there, or had they already gone by the time you started coming to the temple?
The funniest thing about that is Ruth Schofield was the first. I wasn't even playing any instrument. She was my children's choir director, and I sang a song. I made a vow unto the Lord, and she was the director of the children's choir. And she and Clyde had just moved to California when I started to go for. Really started to like teach and travel, and so you know, you all were talking about Benji Love. Um, um, Benjamin Love was a musical genius. He was a kind of like a just just a an obscure, unique talent. He could listen to anything and play anything. He had an incredible like sponge like ability to just play anything. It could be classical, it could be R&B, it could be gospel. He just needed 5 minutes with it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really, I remember the early record that we did.
He played the One Thing About Desire, Psalm 27.
Yeah, I mean, just the rehearsals. I remember staying up late with him just as he's working through arrangements and stuff like that. He just was really, really incredible. And you are right. Our rehearsals, our national choir rehearsals, were very unique. They're very light. I think they were a breath of fresh air for people that served on a regular basis to into that setting uh, come into that setting and just be hear new, refreshing approaches to everything. Music was new and fresh. Songwriting was new and fresh. So yeah, it wasn't a lot of us back then, but there was killers. You had you had killers, pound for pound, we had about 40 or 50, 50 or 60, but they was killers. they, it didn't take them long to learn things, and they sang with such power and strength, and it wasn't about like what you had on and nothing like that. They just kind of just came and sang, and that kind of attitude and that kind of spirit was evident growing up. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, Bible Way was amazing for me. Like I said, if there's anything that I can musically point my writing to, my arranging to, any records that I've done, that I gotta say, Michael Rogers, Alan Cruz, totally impactful. Um, they taught things of not just what to play, but when to play it.
Yeah.
Um, um, I, our church sometimes didn't have musicians, so or other musicians. So if Alan was there by himself, he could carry a whole service. If Michael was there by himself, he could carry a whole service, just pedals and playing the organ and directing. I mean, shouting music. It didn't matter. Um, so so very unique experience growing up with them, and then later on being a very young minister of music, just kind of having to shoot from the hip for a while. But yeah, those were great days.
Man, that's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from Minister David Frazier. He talking about his days in Bible Way. I remember Winston-Salem, North Carolina. For we know, I don't know the name of the song. Like I'm
Oh
bad.
yeah.
Well, we like that Caribbean. Scott was on the drums, though. I can tell you that. I can tell you Scott was on the drums. But I want to segue into the Benji Love moment. Like I want to have a Benji Love moment. If we can all just take a moment to reflect on this person that Minister David has just eloquently, described as best as possible. But his influence, and impact on how he approached music. Very unassuming in his features, right? Because he was small frame brother, and just would just come in the room, and he was definitely, from my experience watching him, one of those guys. Didn't carry a lot of pomp and circumstance with him. He came to handle his business, and man, it was just amazing to hear melodies come from him, and him express himself through the music, through the writing. I actually have his meditation joint that he did a few years ago, and it's I mean it's just really it's just really good. And so I just want to take a moment, and if we can all just kind of give a Benji Love moment, a story that you had, or an experience that you had with Benji. We can go around, and everyone on the panel can just share that moment. We'll start with Scott. Scott, we'll start with you.
Okay. I don't have a memory or a moment, or I just have an experience, and that is the fact that I'm not a keyboard player. But the first song I ever learned how to play, because it impressed me so much that I had to have my brother show me how to play it, these chords, was his song Hallelujah. That that simple say hallelujah. When I sit at the keyboard now and act like I know what I'm doing, that's what I play. I play that song right there, because that melody, that chord arrangement was just bananas to me. I still love it, and his humility, his soft spokenness. He just was an amazing person, amazing artist, amazing.
Yeah. Zay?
I have a lot of experiences with Benji, so I'm just gonna give y'all two. The first experience was first time I heard him play. We was in the prayer chapel in D.C. when the convention was at Bible Way in D.C. and that was the I didn't know much about Benji, but he sat with me for about 2-3 hours in the prayer chapel, and he just played. what was fascinating about Benji was he started asking me the people who I liked, and at that time I was really on commission. He literally broke down commission to layman's terms and broke it down. Even he started playing like Mike Brooks to show me the pros and the cons of commission. And it totally blew my mind. I'm looking at this guy like whoever I named, he was started playing like them. And I was like, this guy is crazy. And that experience, like I said, we was on the piano for like 2.5 hours. And that was Benji Love. The next time I saw Benji was Winston-Salem. That was the year I heard. The first time I heard, he's all right, he's all right, he's all right with me. That was the first time I ever heard that song. And there was a guy on the drums. I think they called him Lefty. He was a left-hand drummer. They was called him Lefty. I think he was from New York. But I was like, where's Benji? Where's Benji? And I was running all around the convention trying to find Benji. When I found Benji, Benji was sitting by himself with some flip-flops on, with some headphones on, by himself, totally like he was literally by himself at the convention. And I said, Benji? He was like, hey, man. And I mean, it was like nothing. He was sitting there with flip-flops in the corner by himself. That's where I found Benji.
Wow.
So Benji was very different. He was very unique, but very, very impactful. And the touch that he had when he played was something I had never, ever seen before. The way he touched the piano was just, it was crazy, man.
Wow.
Benji was crazy.
Sis, a Benji Love moment or story.
I always called Benji the whisperer because he was quiet, but he would give us the soprano part, and it was like, how can something your statue and you're giving us the highest part ever? And the funniest thing about Benji growing up was his feet was he always had these Timberlands on. He would come in there with these Timberlands on and slide on the organ and teach us a song. But I always called him a whisper. Very quiet, but his actions went way before him. He was just phenomenal and a phenomenal teacher by far.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's amazing. Kitchens?
Where do I start? Well, one thing that a lot of people may or may not know, but Benji was really that protege when it came down to music because he actually did he was from Milwaukee. Everybody doesn't remember that. He was actually from Milwaukee. He actually was part of the Conservatory of Music out there. So he had that pedigree. But to the point that was already raised, he was never a person that was pretentious or tried to lord his accomplishments musically over anybody else. He was the humblest guy. One of my biggest memories of Benji is from the time of the convention up until I got married. So that was about, I'm talking about from the 82 convention until I got married in 86. Benji and I used to talk for 2 or 3 hours on the phone every night. Just talk about everything. The young man had such a spiritual awareness, that you don't necessarily always think of musicians as dealing with their spirituality necessarily, but he had that. But the one thing that always will stand out to me in terms of how a friend can just be a friend to you when you need him, Patrick, you recall when we did the first
Tehillah recording?
The first Tehillah album. And Benji came in, and in like 2 days, he had 2 of the songs down. He played I'm Saved, if I'm not mistaken, and he played Oh Magnify Him. And to hear him on those recordings, you would have thought that he had been there with us through the whole rehearsal process and done it. He didn't miss anything. Like you said, there wasn't anything musically that he couldn't just, in a moment, just pull up. People forget that Benji also was the road musician, actually played on a couple of the albums for the Winans.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's a
I
part of
remember when he
that
started.
legacy. He did stuff with the Family and Friends Choir. There's stuff out there. You know, he played for in our area up here in New York. He actually played for Allen, Greater Allen, at one point.
Yep.
Oh, sure did.
Matter of fact, the album you were referring to, Jay, I think a lot of that he did while he was at Greater Allen.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful spirit, a beautiful young man.
I wish I could find the video, man. It's an old hymn that he's doing when he was in Colorado. And his touch, man, on that song.
I remember the song. I can't think of it right now, but I remember because he was
Dennis
with what's his face?
Dennis Leonard.
Yes,
Bishop Dennis Leonard. Yeah, he did a rendition of a hymn with them, and I mean his touch on that song was just absolutely phenomenal. Pat, Benji Love Story.
Yeah, Benji, all those things, prodigy, very gifted, but Benji was also hilarious. I know Sherry's not gonna like this, but just think about 89.
Pat, you got to go home tonight.
Just Turn to Jesus. You know I ain't scared. Just Turn to Jesus. My wonderful wife wrote that song. She wrote Just Turn to Jesus. But you guys haven't heard the original version of Just Turn to Jesus. So she had this little look in there. And then I'm not gonna say that part, but it was hilarious. And me and Benji, we could not stop laughing. The arrangement. So one thing that we laughed a good half hour, but Benji and I, we kind of worked together to change it. And Benji was extremely instrumental in changing the end part, the drive and everything, and made it good enough to go on the Bible Way album. You know, and we did that in that 1 week's time. You can say we started in the beginning, but by the end of the week we had the song done. And Sherry doesn't like to hear that, but it was so hilarious.
Yeah, that's good. Dave. I need a Benji Love Story, bro. I need a Benji Love Story.
I could tell you some musical stories, but I'll just tell you one funny story. The Terrytown recording, we had choir rehearsal, everything went real well. And, you know, we left and went to bed, you know, got up the next morning and get ready to, you know, just kind of tackle convention stuff. We get downstairs. Benji is still on the piano. He never went to sleep. And he had been playing all night, just learning the songs. And we had this little joke about him because he would wear tube socks and sandals all the time. We said you got a different struggle. You can't wear your sandals or you're gonna wear your tube sock, but you can't wear tube socks. They don't go together, bro. So we laughed about that. I had the privilege to. He was playing for the Winans and I was playing for BB and CC. So we did a lot of dates. We did a lot of dates together. It was so amazing, though. Benji is playing main piano with Stephen Ford playing auxiliaries.
Yes.
What?
And Lafayette Carthon playing some organ or something like that.
Wow.
Benji playing main keys.
Dave, hold, Dave, hold on. Like Stephen Ford.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aux.
Professor Stephen Ford was playing aux, like horn licks and stuff like that.
This is a story, y'all.
Yeah.
Benji was playing main keys now, and I'll tell you how crazy it was because they would just let Benji and Marvin just go by themselves.
Yeah, literally. I saw it. Yeah.
Because you couldn't play with Benji if he was just vibing.
Yeah.
They just would just go hands off until they were ready. Yeah, like the Carnegie Hall album is probably the only time you get to hear Benji playing with the brother, but that's kind of reserved. That was kind of locked into like a more of a pattern. But I did dates with them, and Benji on piano and Marvin Winans just singing, like standing up and singing. Kill it. It was killer. It was crazy. It was crazy. Now, and the last thing I was gonna say was, if you can get the Meditations album on Apple Music, it's Stanley Brown Meditations now. But it originally was Benjamin Love Meditations, but now it's Stanley Brown Meditations. But all of the tracks are Benji. All of the tracks. But now let me explain. He's playing keys, organ, flute, harmonica, drums, everything. All of the tracks or all of the songs is Benji Love. It's called Stanley Brown Meditation, but all of it is Benji Love, and it will bless you like you've never been.
I don't know if they hear you, Doc. I don't know if they like. I'm telling y'all preachers, your prayer time, your intercessors, your intercession time, your missionaries, like all. I mean, I need y'all to hear me. It's on replay.
He had a grasp upon hymn melodies and stuff like that, like no other, and that's what that album is. It's a tribute to hymns, and it's called Stanley Brown Meditations. But every track is Benjamin Love, and
I just downloaded
it. That's how incredible Benjamin Love was in the world. He was just an unbelievable. And matter of fact, he's also playing on Tanisha Crispell's album too.
Oh yeah.
But you can't. Meditations is much more of a picture of how prolific Benjamin Love was.
Yeah.
And you just let it play. Press play and let it play.
Yeah. That's good. That's good, man. Thank you for that. But I just want y'all to know how casually he said I was playing for BB and CC and Benji was playing for the Winans.
Yeah.
Casually said that like this is what we do daily, right? This is our routine. So, I'm the guy at the barbershop talking about the band, and Dave is the guy traveling with the band. Just this is what we do. Like we were on the road with BB and CC, and
I mean, no problem.
That was a crazy time. Now, let me just tell you the story. How I started playing for BB and CC was, I had met Marvin Winans, had come to Brooklyn, and he did a choir workshop for Bishop Roy Brown. And I came over, and he wanted to get up from the piano and direct the choir, so I played. Like I would listen to the songs and then play, and then after that, I would just run into the Winans here and there, like on tour, like at churches and stuff. They were doing churches back then, and he would see me. He would say, "Dave, come play." So I would play, and he would get off the piano, and they would do shows and stuff like that. So this went on for a little while. I ran into him again in Detroit, and Pastor Winans said to me, "Are you playing for anyone? Like, are you touring?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, my brother BB needs a band." And he said, I want to connect y'all. Fast forward, he didn't connect us. I went to Canada playing for another group. The Winans is on the show. He sees me again and says, "Look, I'm going to connect you with BB. He's here. I'm going to introduce you to him." So he in Canada is where I met BB, and BB said to me, "Well, I'll come to New York in 2 weeks, put a band together and learn these songs."
Wow.
So the first band was me, Michael Fisher, Monte Greer, and a guy named Fred Manns who played guitar. Wow. And that was the set. I was doing the Michael Brooks thing with the 2 keyboards and everything, and playing piano. It was a lot of fun. But that was an amazing time. But yeah, that Meditations, Benji Love, Stanley Brown Meditations is really Benji Love, and it'll definitely be a blessing to you.
It's on Apple Music. Go get it tonight. Download it and just let it be a blessing, man. Especially for those who, spend time reading, spend quiet time. It's really a blessing. Man, shout out to Apostle Vincent Greaves for logging in. Our first vice presiders on tonight. God bless you. Thank you, sir, for logging in. Man, but we're enjoying, if you're just coming in, we're enjoying this conversation of Bible Way Music Legacy. This is a legacy.
Can I jump in here? Have y'all mentioned Dr. Carolyn Showell?
Not yet.
I was going to say that.
Take us back, Doc. Take us back. Take us back.
Across the street in the balcony was the organ for First Apostolic when I was growing up.
Wow.
And Dr. Carolyn Showell was killing us back in the day.
He was a quick
Killing us.
Baltimore.
Yes, listen. I just had to throw that in there. If we're gonna talk Bible Way and we're gonna talk music, you got to talk about Dr. Carolyn Showell.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just as hard as she's on musicians from the mic. She was just as hard playing. Killer.
Witness. We also have to recognize somebody else who played the keyboard, I believe. She's on here tonight.
Yes, Dr. Delitha Gross. Yes.
Yeah. The whole family.
Absolutely.
The whole family.
And we got to recognize the fact that before David was on the keyboard, David was on the drums.
Yes, he was.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, I did give my career. Let me just say this: musicians years ago, we played whatever opportunity we had to play. Your brother played drums. Mm-hmm. We all started. We played whatever was lying around. If the bass player was late, I was up there pulling the string. If the drum, I played instruments by default because the real professional musicians was late. So when they was late, I'll be up there killing. Same with the piano, same with the organ. If you was late, I was there. So that's how that worked out.
Yeah. Man, this is really amazing because, and it's funny you mentioned Dr. Showell because I was talking to, shout out to District Elder Clarence Johnson, who, I mean, a Bible Way historian, matter of fact, just an apostolic historian when it comes to the formation of the organizations and the details of some of the off branches of the organization. And when we were talking about it, and he specifically mentioned, and this is his words, the innovation of Dr. Carolyn Showell and the innovative things she did with the young people and the music department. He was just sharing this with me last week as we were, just talking about some Bible Way history. And part of the reason why we're having this conversation, because we are leading up to something that we're doing during convocation this year called the IBW Legacy Ball. We found out that, scripture says in Exodus Genesis going into Exodus, Exodus talks about a Pharaoh who knew not Joseph. We're living in a current culture whose, focus is different. And if we don't talk about where we've come from, they will never know history. Bible Way, 66 years, that's significant for an organization. I remember writing a paper and I wanted to use Apostle Smallwood E. Williams. And he said, they were talking about people who started movements. And they was like, you have enough information? I said, watch this. I made a couple phone calls. My late pastor, Apostle Pettiford, and a few others contributed, some content. I went in his library, started taking some of the books, that Apostle Smallwood had written and, wrote the paper. But, we're living in a generation where they don't hear Apostle Smallwood's name. There are people who don't know that there are records in Bible Way's history. Again, when they see Isaiah, they calling him Isaiah, and they're singing "I will bless the Lord," and it's like, no, it started way before "I will bless the Lord" or "Work It Out," right? Like it started way before them. They hear Dave's songs, and it's like, man, I remember Dave was teaching us stuff. When we were, they see Pastor D come in, with Bishop-elect, and they're like, oh, praise God, woman of God. And I'm like, no, that's the trendsetter. That's the one who
right.
the blueprint for praise and worship, in the organization, and Terrence comes in and, You know, they look at them, they have no idea the amount of information that he has. You know, they look at Scott, they have no idea, right? And it's like, hey, it's time it's time y'all know. Like, it's time you know that you are a part of a rich legacy.
Yeah.
Sam Roberts says royalty, you know, one of the current writers, you know, in the gospel industry,
Yeah.
you know, and doing things now. But you know, we are a part of a history and a rich one, legacy, rich
Yes.
one.
Yes.
You know, and I'm honored. Go ahead, Pat.
I said, just like David was talking about Apostle Rogers was his inspiration, Dr. Shoah was mine. I came up under her at First Apostolic, and even I know to this day I can definitely attest that my work ethic and how I work with choirs and teach choirs and stuff came from her. I remember coming to rehearsals. It didn't matter how early I came to rehearsal. Dr. Shoah was always there before me. She was always there preparing and ready for us, prepared for the rehearsal. You know, just her professionalism, just her playing. Like I said, she was the Twiggy Clark of Baltimore, of Maryland. No, lots of people don't even know that she can really play an organ. And and a lot of people didn't know because of her. Cornell is the beast that he is now because of her.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah, but she's definitely inspirational in that. And that's why she doesn't play with musicians, and she knows what she's talking about when she's talking to these musicians, and they think she don't know. You know, they catch feelings and attitude like Donnell said. You know, these cats out there today, they don't have as much respect.
They don't have a clue.
Yeah, they don't have a clue.
And can I say one thing, y'all?
Yes, sir.
Bible Way has a style.
Yeah,
That I don't care where you go. I've played all over. I've gone different places, and the style is so distinct that people will tell me you from Bible Way.
Wow.
That's how distinct the style is. The style of writing. When I listen to David Frazier, when I listen to Mike Rogers, there is a Bible Way sound. And I think we should never, ever get too far away from that. There's just certain chords that you can play. You can be like, that's Bible Way.
Absolutely.
This is the sound of Bible Way.
Yeah.
All over this world.
All over this world.
All over the world.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Dave, were you on some of those radio joints like at the beginning when Apostle would sing those?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, one of the prerequisites of being a musician at the temple was you had to learn all of the radio themes, television themes. I actually wrote one of the television themes.
Sure did.
Pentecostal praise celebration.
I remember. I remember it, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, that was like part of the job. That was part of the yeah, we had to learn. And I think even now, you know, thinking back, you know, we used to come on the radio, WWRL, at 10:30, 10 o'clock or 10:30.
10 o'clock every Sunday morning.
10 o'clock. Thank you, Dr. Kitchen. And if you've never like that experience in that whole radio thing, it's like, it's so funny because we did it live. Mm-hmm. So like around 9:55 or so, you know, you kind of getting ready to go, you know, to do what you do. And Bishop Michael Rogers, Apostle Michael Rogers was the king of like talking music. I just wanted to, you know, the stuff that he would play while you know, that's what I just wanted to do. You know, the songs is cool and everything, but that joker would be playing some stuff and you'd be going like this. What is he doing? He would be killing. He'd be killing. But yeah, that was just one of the things you had to know all of the themes. You had to know all of the things. Yeah. And you had to know that one song, I got a feeling everything was going to be all right because he said, "Wow, don't you know that I got a feeling?" Everything, yo, listen.
Those of us that were a part of the New York metro area, definitely we knew all of that stuff because we listened faithfully and dutifully. That was my clock on a Sunday morning. I knew that if I was listening to the broadcast, that meant I was late for Sunday school.
You was late.
I was late for Sunday school.
So Kitchens, was it him? Was it Bishop Page Sr., then Apostle Rogers, or was it SD Washington? I know like they would come on like almost like back to back to back. Washington.
8 o'clock a.m. was Washington.
Yeah.
For 1 hour. 8 a.m. every Sunday morning was Washington.
God said it would be with
11,
me.
well, at that time, 11:30 New Jersey. That was that. At 9 o'clock was FD Washington. 9:30 was I can't think, Bishop Bell. Goes up there. 10 o'clock was Bible Way Brooklyn. 10:30 was Herbert Daughtry.
Okay.
House of the Lord Pentecostal Church.
Gotcha.
And for a long time at 11 was Brown, Apostle Brown, Pilgrim.
Roy Brown, Apostle Roy Brown, man. So
again,
y'all, we are
learning that you was definitely late for church.
Yeah, we're learning a little legacy and history tonight. Shout out to our chief apostle Willie Rooker and Mother Rooker, who's on watching tonight. Definitely, listening to all of this, taking it all in. We really appreciate all of you for taking your time tonight. The hour is definitely spent. We could probably go on a few more. Last question, and we'll end the conversation with this. And if there's a point,
I just want to mention one other thing, because we talked about Michael, but you also have to think about Bishop Apostle Rogers. I mean no disrespect, but we were very familiar, and that's just how we address each other. But to really talk about that, you and David alluded to it a little bit, the 3 or 4 albums that the Bible Way Radio Choir of Brooklyn did prior to that, and you have to realize that the first album goes back to like 1974, 1975. Michael was like 19, 20 years old, and he was writing crazy stuff. Then, Get On Board. Then he came along, a lot of young people here, Stay With God, that's on Ricky Diller's project, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Rogers wrote that. So, there's a wealth of music that goes back, beyond that. I'm sitting here, Brother Isaiah was talking about the radio choir. I still have a copy of that song with Norvis Grant, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me if I'm saying the wrong name.
No, I think you're right.
Running, and I'm just listening to this in the background, and I'm like, and these albums go back into the 60s. Yep. So that leans to what you were saying about there's a style and a sound that is unique to this because our roots are there. Even as a little kid, I'm listening to this stuff because my mama had it. But I didn't know nothing about it. But then, some of that permeates over and carries over. And here I am, another product. And now you've got a whole nother generation that's carrying it on. Of course, we've got a great legacy. And like you said, Jason, we got to make sure that these folks know. Do you have copies of the album for the museum?
Nah, we need it.
Hear me. I'm saying it publicly. I will loan you. My albums, but you got to make sure they come back.
Just give me the cover. Just give me the cover. Like, or I can make. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I figure out a way. Maybe we can see.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, do something. Maybe I can take it to like Staples or whatever and get a copy of the whole whatever. Yeah. That's I like
the Bible Way Radio Choir did 4 albums. 3 were on Savoy.
One was Tomato, and I don't remember the other.
And one was on John Daniels' Tomato. Label. John Daniels is responsible for the Clark Sisters, Doug Miller.
Man, legend, Jersey legend.
As a matter of fact, Dave, I don't know if you remember this little factoid. When we did the album at Mother Church that year, 1982, John Daniels was there, and he had brand new, freshly pressed versions of a song from somebody called Douglas Miller that nobody knew.
Yeah, he introduced Doug Miller. He introduced the Clarks. The early sound, the gospel recordings of the Clarks are good.
And the first couple of records of the International Church of God in Christ.
The UNAC albums. But the Clark Sisters have an album, Is My Living in Vain?
Yes.
Is on John Daniels' label as well too. Timothy Wright, Moving in the Spirit, is on John Daniels' label. So
Testifies on that label.
A lot of great albums. And
I think somebody we forgot to mention, y'all.
Who?
That's part of this Bible Way thing. We got to mention Andrew Ford. Sweet Rain.
Yes.
What?
The third album was Sweet Rain.
Yeah.
Wow.
The What's It All For album was Sweet Rain.
Yeah. The record in Baltimore.
Yeah,
And
that was
Richmond.
Sweet Rain.
Okay, wait. Okay, real
Right.
quick.
Don't say that, Pat.
Right. And Richmond.
I was like,
I gotta like connect these albums by songs. All right. So Magnify, that was the first one that you played, Kitchens.
Magnify, Just in Time, Hold Out.
Just in Time is the one Lorraine. Did Lorraine lead that?
Yeah.
He came to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second album is It's Real.
It's real.
That's where Apostle Mike had a lot of Doobie Brothers in him. With that.
yeah, that was the Doobie Brothers. That's real.
Doobie Brothers, literally.
The third album was What's It All For? All
Yeah.
Things Work Together. With all due respect, and I'm not saying this because you're on here, brother, but my favorite song out of everything we've done was the one that was written by now Bishop James Rawson. How Much I Owe.
How much I owe?
That song will forever.
Wait. What? How much we owe? How much I
How
owe?
much I owe for love divine.
What?
And
Slow.
another thing,
That's my bro for real. I'm gonna start claiming him more and more, bro. Like,
and you know who that is was doing the solo on that album.
who?
Who's doing the solo on that particular recording of that
Who?
song? That's Helen Williams. Most of us know Lance Williams' True Worship. That's his
Mom.
mom. That's singing the song.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And
Real
what
quiet,
he
Mr.
did-
God, man, this is good. This is
I
good.
remember that we were doing albums, and we got to remember that Bishop Rogers and Bishop Campbell preached on one of the albums.
First album.
But Brother Campbell
Got down on his
knees.
every white knee, every brown knee. Come on, y'all.
That's
When I
Mike
was
on
on
the organ.
the organ.
That's
Who is
Mike-
that?
That's Mike on the organ.
Michael.
Oh, wow.
On that note. I don't
Okay.
care. It didn't matter who else was playing that night because remember, Bishop Rogers preached that night service. And we didn't know that they were recording his sermon. But Mike made sure he was on the organ for his dad at that time. Because remember, this is before he was pastor. This, that part was before he was pastor.
Wow.
Ken Marsh. Where you from, Ken Marsh?
Oh yeah, that's my guy from Baltimore.
He from Baltimore. Ken Marsh. I need you to meet me in Tyson's Corner, bro, and bring them albums.
He has them.
He said he got all of them.
Yeah, he got all of them.
He said he got all. I need you, Ken Marsh, brother. We gonna be down there in a couple weeks. I need you to drive down to.
You know,
Tyson's
Kenneth,
Corner.
You got that one from
give me those
Richmond?
albums, Kenneth. I know you.
You got the 89 album in Richmond?
Yeah, now if he got that one, he good.
Oh my God, if he got that one.
Yo,
Good.
Ken, if you got that 89
Somebody
album,
got it.
I'm gonna shout you out. Like
Nobody even has like a reference track of it, anything like that.
Somebody gotta have something.
All I got is on YouTube. That's all I got.
Of the
Thank God
89
for
album?
YouTube. Thank God.
Yeah, I don't know which one. One of the records on YouTube.
Well, no,
What's
all the way.
I can't forget it's on YouTube.
I
Yeah.
can't forget.
Yeah, that's
Ooh.
the one.
It's really on
Dave,
YouTube.
I love your song.
Ga.
Don't get me wrong, but that How Much I Owe is going to be forever a standard for me.
All right, so actually, you just segued into the last question. So, Terrence, for you, it's How Much I Owe.
Correct.
Sis, what's your Bible Way song? What's your, like, when you hear it, it's like, whoo.
How Much We Can Bear.
Cricket?
Remember this? How much?
Oh, that's Dave's song.
That's
Dave's song.
Oh,
I mean, I'll take it. I'll
He
take
wrote
it.
it. Bible Way his own wrote it.
Well, see, that's my favorite song, but the Shaking the House version of that, like that's my song. A Hype. They are not on iTunes, but we're gonna talk to some people to see what we got to do to get some of these things
Again
on the
Jay,
digital
you
platform.
just not contact me because I have the 3 albums. I have all of them in their entirety in digital form.
Oh, Shanda.
Oh yeah, my glory.
And he gonna be a blessing to the kingdom.
Yeah.
I'm about to get
Oh my God. Oh my God. Man.
Yo, so okay. So Scott, your favorite
Well, Terrence claimed mine, and I don't want to be biased. So, since that is my favorite, I'll go with this one because I love the penmanship. What's It All For? Kelvin.
Yeah.
That's a song right there.
We sing the song right.
Yeah.
Because it's by the score.
Pat, what's yours?
I don't know about my favorite, but I can't forget you always is a standard Bible way. And for me, remembering when I was in Bed Bath and Beyond, the first year I moved to New Jersey, and I heard the Doobie Brothers.
I'm here to love you. I'm here to love you.
I never knew. I was in Bed Bath and Beyond. It's like, oh my gosh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
But it's always a special place in my heart. I can't forget you.
Dope. Dave.
I got two.
Okay.
I got two. I probably got more than two, but these two, the other day, looking up on some of the old Bible Way stuff. Have y'all listened to He's Keeping Me?
Yes.
I just listened to it yesterday. Every day I live, it's a miracle.
That's
100%. I got the bullet. Ask me why.
I just was wondering if y'all ears was working. I'm just checking to see if y'all ears was working. Because Tony Scales, not out of it. Yeah.
It's a miracle. Yes,
and I gotta go to Magnify. Because Magnify still it has like the movements of that Bible Way sound.
That's the classic Bible Way sound right there.
Yes, sir.
And it really still can work. I like songs that still can work.
Right, exactly.
So that He's Keeping Me, you got the right person, and Magnify, you don't have to have no lead. You just gotta go for it.
Rev, church over.
Keeping me tomorrow.
Yeah. And I should say, and we need to get the Bible Way songs on iTunes, Apple Music, but I'm on Apple Music, iTunes. Isaiah Thomas is on there. He on there too. Yeah, if anybody watching, go put his name in, put my name in. I got some songs on there.
Oh yeah, listen, y'all. We got
spiritual songs, volumes 1.
I got some on there.
You know, to this day, my favorite is Favor, David Fraser's Favor. That's one of my theme songs.
That was my favorite until I heard the new one you did. Dave did. Now you correct me. I hope I'm saying this right. Didn't you do a song called "I Still Believe God"?
Yeah.
I still believe God.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, listen, look it up. I
did a church album.
Yes.
A pastor in a little city called Macon, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wrote like around 7 out of the 10 songs on the record.
Well, that one made it to my playlist. I like.
But the name of the record is called BBC Worship.
That's it.
And that song I Still Believe is on there. There's another song I did in Baltimore with Mount Hatton, Consistent God, years ago. That song is re-recorded on that album as well too. And the song Release that I did with Ricky Dillard is on that recording that I did with that small church. So yeah, that's a good church choir album. It's called Pastor Carlos Kelly and the Beulah Land Bible Church Choir. BBC Worship is called. But Release came from that recording. I Still Believe. Like I said, Consistent God is on there. So yeah, God is good.
Y'all hear what Bishop Rawson just said?
Shout out Bishop Rawson. He said He's keeping me without an organ.
Wow.
No organ.
He is absolutely correct.
Wow.
Wow.
He's absolutely correct.
Hey Zay, what's yours, man? What's yours?
Well, David took my Magnify Him. That was definitely one of my.
That was a killer.
Yeah, and
Magnify was a killer, bro.
What's important about that is, and I believe that Magnify kind of set the standard for the Bible Way sound. When you look at the chord structure, the way everything went, the way that song goes, it kind of puts you in the mind of Bible Way. But another sleeper that y'all haven't mentioned, and that's the song I heard Benji play one time. I want to see Jesus. Man, I used to love that song. That's my number one. One day. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Hits. That's
Those are my two favorites.
Of the song.
That's it. That's it right there, Doc. That's it.
That's Jeff White on the bass on this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Play
Some
the
of
bass
those
on this
songs you will get saved all over again if you keep listening to them.
Yeah,
one. You
man.
can save all over again.
You'll fool around and get the Holy Ghost off those songs.
I'm telling you,
Roger-
Bible Way's
Roger
pen
Allen wrote
was
this.
amazing. Bible Way had an amazing pen. I mean,
Roger Allen wrote this one.
Yeah.
Listen, we running down the legacy. July 4th.
Woo! Let's go.
July 4th, we'll be at Hilton Tyson's Corner for the Legacy Ball. Y'all gonna hear some stuff that night. You're gonna hear some stories, not just the music, but just the history, the people, as you can see, the presiders, but then also the people who worked with the presiders, who were very influential in the growth and the expansion of Bible Way being a global movement. And having a great impact on the kingdom of God. We are greatly appreciative for all of you tonight. And again, that Washington, Maryland Dices, we're gonna work on that. Getting on
Yes.
iTunes, Apple
Make
Music.
that
I need the first
digital.
copy of that.
And then I don't know who we need to get in contact with. I don't know if we need to contact the bishop or the apostle and get that license, get that release, and get these songs on us. So I don't know, Dave, Bishop Rosen, if you can contact Bishop Michael, Apostle Michael, Chief Apostle Michael, and see what we got to do, because the world, we need that. We need that. I need access to that, because it's
well, I want to put a plug in. I mean, that would be great to have, but it would really be wonderful if we could redo all of those songs, bring them up, release them, and watch it blow all the way back up again. Just that would be amazing.
Hey, we need to make that happen. We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Listen.
Prayer warriors, put that on your list.
But we have advantages now that we didn't have, because technology allows us to do a lot of stuff that we can pull it all together, and then by the time we get the choir there, we've got everything else done. So it's doable. It's within.
But this generation got to learn those songs.
They do. Like I said, I was telling Pastor Jason, the first leadership conference we had two Novembers ago now, 21 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Patrick, you were introducing me to a young lady that was working out at the table, and you mentioned about the albums. She was like, Bible Way had albums? And it took me aback, because I just kind of assumed that everybody that was a part of Bible Way knew our history, but they don't.
Yeah. So listen, this is just the start. We don't know where this is going. We don't know what could happen. Scott put it out there. So hey man, maybe we can make something happen. So the powers that be, if we can just make some phone calls and plant the seed again in some others' ears, and
that would be crazy.
I don't know, maybe one of these convocations we'll all be meeting up somewhere, and the legends will be in the building with some of the younger generations, and
man, that would be crazy.
I'm praying for the day that we'll be able to gather at 1100 New Jersey Avenue again.
Wow.
I mean, for those of us, and I think everybody that's in this chat, obviously, we have a significant history with being in that place. And there's something unique happens when we are in that place. God moves everywhere, but there's something.
I agree. Bible way.
We might not get through the service.
It's the Bible way of living, life and living.
The generations, as you said, coming up, need to understand just what that means. We can't leave them beside the water, just floundering. We got to.
Dr. Kitchens, I'm reminded of the lyrics of a song that we were all blessed to be a part of. When we are divided,
I can
crying. I don't want to be a part of breaking his heart anymore. Brother, I commit my love to you.
David, I gotta ask you a question too.
Oh my God.
Terrence and David, can y'all please tell me what record is on the song "I'll Make It all right. Was that ever recorded?
Yep.
Yeah, that's on one of the.
It's on. We recorded it for the first album in DC, but it wasn't released as part of that album. And
Right.
we touched a tag of it in White Plains.
I
So
need
it's
that.
on the.
I need that record.
Actually, that song was actually a radio choir song. I think Bishop Mike just added it to the national situation.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
need
used
that.
to
I
we used
need
to do that at the temple.
Yeah, I need that
Y'all,
record, man. I need
thank
that.
y'all so much. I greatly appreciate y'all. This is my extended family, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Everyone, again, go out, download the music. David Frazier, Isaiah Thomas, Stanley Brown's Meditations, and we will let you know when we get that Washington, Maryland Dicey's join up, and we'll let you know when. The rest of the music will come together, whether it's a new release or a
A re-release.
Speak it.
A retro.
release.
Right.
All right. God bless everybody. Have a great and wonderful night. Thank you so much.
Man,
Good to see everybody.
Good to
Love
see
you guys.
everybody.
Love y'all.